Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Over the years, women's entrepreneurial leadership has experienced exponential growth. However, in the startup space, there is still a long path to tread and ensure there is absolute parity. In our next session, Founders Forum, the Startup Playbook, our eminent panel of women entrepreneurs and investors will help us understand the entrepreneurship ecosystem for women, discuss solutions, and aim to unfold a path that will help women entrepreneurs attain social and economic empowerment. And to moderate the session, let me invite my colleague Ritu Singh on stage, please. And please put your hands together for our panelists, Akanksha Hazari, founder and CEO, Love Local, Madhu Shalini Iyer, partner, Rocket Ship VC, Seema Chaturvedi, founder and managing partner, Achieving Women Equity, AWE Funds, Sushma Kaushik, partner, Avishkar, and Suman Gopalan, ACT Grants and CHRO Freshworks. Ritu, over to you.
A lot of black and white on the stage. Hope we tell them. Yes, thank you for bringing some color. I know you all don't want to be burdened with stats, but I'll tell you nonetheless. I mean, we have this pleasure of being the third largest country when it comes to having the number of startups that we have. We're second only to China in the number of MSMEs that we have. But this growth story has been lopsided. 73 million MSMEs, but only 20% owned or run by women. We have 100+ unicorns, not even 15% founded by women, and we rank as low as 70 on a list of 77 when we talk about the Female Entrepreneurship Index. So here I have a bunch of founders, women leaders, and so we're going to take a page out of your playbook to understand how to navigate this rather unequal world. And Akanksha, let me start with you. All over the headlines last year, it said, the largest ever sum secured by a solo women tech entrepreneur in India when you were able to raise about $18 million. I know if you see those kind of headlines about men, but take us through your journey, the kind of learning curve you've had, building a business as a woman entrepreneur, raising funds in, what has been a very man-led finance world. What have been some of the eye-openers?
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. And to be honest, I'm a little bit starry-eyed with all the amazing women that are here. So I think, as you mentioned, last year, Love Local raised its pre-Series B, which Touchwood actually ended up being a $20 million round. It was, for better or worse, it was the largest ever round raised by a solo woman tech founder in India, which is great, but actually not so great, to be honest. It's not a round that I would consider that large, and I feel like we should be beyond a point that something, it wasn't $200 million, it was $20 million. It shouldn't have been a headline. So to me, that tells a story that I think we're all aware of. We have a long way to go. And just to give some statistics, today less than 1% of VC funding in India goes to any women-led startups. Globally, less than 2.3% of VC funding goes to women-led companies in the startup and tech space. And that actually got worse over the pandemic. So pre-pandemic, it was 2.5%, not that much better, but it's actually dropped to 2.3%. So to be honest, it's really exciting that we have this new universe of tech and startups. But if we look at how we're performing as a new industry, we're really not performing very well in terms of creating an even and equal playing ground between men and the women. And I think the problem is a two-sided problem. I mean, we don't have many women investors on the other side of the table. I had to work really hard to get women investors on my cap table, which was a very proactive decision I took with my recent funding round. And similarly, very few women are getting funded on the other side. The journey has been tough, I will say that. It's gotten better over time. I think with more international investors entering the Indian market, that actually has brought more capital. I'm also very lucky to have some incredible male Indian investors who obviously have invested in Love Local as well. And I think the great thing about this forum is that men are part of this equality discussion, right? This is not a question about women moving forward. It's a discussion about equality. And it needs both men and women to be equally involved for it to change. So I'm really glad to see that the way we deal with equality is shifting to include both sides of that conversation around the table. I don't know if that answers your question a little bit.
No, it absolutely does. And like you said, less than 1% of the VC funding actually goes to women founders. So let me put that question to Sushma. Because at Akanksha Capital, Sushma, you're actually putting your money where your mouth is. You raised some funds and you've dedicated a third of it only for women-led entrepreneurs. We know women are better business leaders, and I'm not just saying it because I'm a woman. There are studies that say so. Women-led companies are more profitable. Why is it that you still remain an exception in this venture capital world? Is it because there's leadership from women at Akanksha that we saw this happen? Would it not have happened otherwise?
You know, it's very interesting that you bring this up, and she's complaining about lack of women investors. And when this started becoming a dialogue is when I started looking around to see how many women are there, and it's shocking, right? Women in decision-making roles in investing are very, very few, and that's probably why it is hard to route all that capital to women entrepreneurs as well. But so saying, yes, Akanksha Capital is one of the first funds from South Asia to be recognized as 2X flagship, which means we are tasked with the job of being gender smart, creating gender smart portfolios, identifying entrepreneurs like all of you to put in the money and create returns. What's interesting is in the investment space, the loss ratios of funds, which are largely led by only male teams, is as high as 20%. And it's found that gender diverse teams, which have women in decision-making roles, have it as low as 8 to 12%. So that's a significant amount of capital that is protected. And so I believe there is going to be a change going forward.
Well, we do hope so. Madhu, you do have a ringside view to this, and as someone in the venture capital world, how much emphasis would you say these funds place on ensuring that there is diversity on the boards? To what extent does this play as an important factor when you make your decision to invest in a company?
So I think, nothing will be complete without completing the ecosystem. As VCs, we all have LPs, limited partners that invest in us. And those are the people that can make the huge difference. And they are the ones that are at the top of the pyramid, giving the money and investing the money. And they are very keen in making sure that women get what they deserve. And they are divvying up some funds for women-led VCs, for women-led startups, so that the money goes to women at the end. Very far and few between, but I can say that global leaders like Goldman Sachs and many other family offices and institutional investors have put their money on it. I know I'm diverging, but it's very important to address the top of the pyramid, because the VC ecosystem is very, our hands are tied. As anybody will tell you.
Would you say your hands are tied?
Our hands are tied because of the limited partners that invest in us. It is a very male-dominated industry. I hate to be the contrarian here, but I have to tell the truth that there is the number of women venture capitalists in India, far and few between. The number of women-led funds in the valley where I live, far and few between. I think it's only going to change if the limited partners decide to put money in women-led funds and therefore sort of going down to women-led startups.